And good afternoon, everybody. This is Tony Fapiano, and I'm coming to you this afternoon from the studios at Guilford Community Television. And I think we have a very, very interesting program for you today. I have two guests with me. My guests are Betsy Gehan. Betsy, thank you for taking time today to be here, because what you're going to talk about is extremely important for the whole program. And Herb Schwartz, and Herb is the initiator,
Right.
the formulator,
Yep, that's
of
right.
a program called The Mansion.
That's
and
right.
what The Mansion is, generally, is a program that is a residential program for women who are addicted on heroin.
That's right.
So today we're going to talk about that program. We're going to talk a little bit about what leads up to people becoming addicted, and then what happens when they are addicted. You obviously have had a very personal experience that we're going to talk about, and if I get too personal, just let me know, okay? In the questions that we ask. Herb, when did you start this program? You entitled it The Mansion. Why is it called The Mansion?
Well, it's called the mansion because our residence is a mansion. It was built in 1863 by James Babcock. He was the founder of the New Haven Register. So he built this fantastic house in Fairhaven, right off of East Grand, and lived there. He and his family lived there for many years. It went through a number of different owners, and at a time when we were looking for a residence for our program, we found it on Realtor.com.
I know that website.
Yeah, you do. So I got in touch with the owner, the realtor. We negotiated a little bit, but we bought it in a week.
All right. When you say we, who's we?
Let me back up a little bit. I've been the partner in sober houses for over 25 years, but men's sober houses. I had a friend, Bob Hargrove, that I've known for many years, and he had an interest in recovery programs and sober houses, and he asked me to get involved with them 25 years ago. So we became partners in two different sober houses, and I worked with him for many years. He came to me with this idea for a woman's house because there were no resources at the time. This is 7 years ago for women alcoholics and addicts. I also want to point out that this is more than just a program for heroin addicts. There are many different kinds of addictions.
Okay, so this is anybody that qualifies under
It
the term,
is.
under the
Some are
diagnosis?
alcoholics. We have people addicted to methamphetamines, painkillers, and of course, as you say, heroin. So we bought the house and we started bringing women in. We had a full-time live-in manager, and over the course of years, we found that we were limited to people that could afford to come. So that 3 years ago, we decided to become a nonprofit organization. We formed a corporation called the Women's Recovery Corporation and applied to the IRS for nonprofit status.
And you have that?
We have that now.
501c3?
We are 501c3.
Okay. That's important to know because we're going to be talking about a fundraiser.
Yeah.
So I think people that are going to participate and support the fundraiser should know that you are a nonprofit.
We are a nonprofit, and all of the donations are tax deductible for that reason. By the way, we have a website. It's www.themansion.life. You can take a look at the house, the residence, inside and out on the website, and also make donations through PayPal.
I think
on
you
the
should
website.
tell them, too, that it was formerly known as Spiritual Gardens, because people are aware of that.
When we started out, it was called Spiritual Gardens, but we decided about a year ago that we would make it shorter, give it a little bit more punch. The Mansion, it's easy to remember, and
Well, spiritual guidance to me also implies that there was some sort of religious association.
Actually, there isn't, and that's one of the reasons we wanted to make the change. Our program is based on the 12-step program of Alcoholics Anonymous, and there is a spiritual essence to that. There's no question about that. It's not religious, and there are no requirements to go to church.
So non-denominational, just...
It's a non-denominational, but we are encouraged to find a higher power of some sort, a power greater than ourselves. Now, for some people, it's just the fellowship. In other words, our friends in AA and the community. It's a fellowship that's based on love and service. Love and service are spiritual principles.
Okay.
We can live.
I'm going to back you up a little bit, Herb. When you bought this, number one, how many women can you accommodate? How large is the mansion?
Well, we've expanded. We can take 15 women now.
All addicts in
All
one
addicts
form or
or
another.
alcoholics.
Okay.
That's right.
In recovery.
In recovery.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
But how do you determine that a person is qualified to be a participant in the program, and is actually in recovery? How do you know that they're not still addicted and using?
Well, that's a good question. We have...
Because would you say if you put 15 women together that are addicts, would you say that there's some sort of a potential conflict there? You've been through this. And
Yeah.
I'm going to point out that Betsy had a daughter who was addicted to heroin, and you're going to talk about that a little bit. And unfortunately, the heroin overtook the whole situation.
Yes.
4 years ago?
Almost 4 years ago.
4 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she did attend Spiritual Gardens for a short time.
Okay. And all right. So I think the fact that there's 15 women living together, all who have some issue or another with respect to substance, is that a conflict? Is that a potential conflict?
Well, it could be a
I'm
conflict,
being a
but
little
it could
devil's
be,
advocate now.
It could work both ways.
Because you have to be aware of this,
right?
I assume. I mean, you have to know who's doing, who's not.
Well, sure. We have random drug testing. That means if you come to the mansion, you agree to random drug tests. We have 2 full-time employees, and one of them lives at the mansion, so that the employees, they're in touch with all of the women all the time. As they come, as they go, they know where they are and what they're doing all the time. If they come in and they seem to be a little bit off, and our managers, they have enough experience so that they have a feel for when someone is high. Then they give a drug test. If the test is negative, fine. If it's positive, the resident needs to leave the residence immediately. We can't have people high in the house with the other residents. That isn't right. Now, when someone comes to the mansion, they know this. They know the conditions, and they know that...
But what's the actual vetting process? To think that someone might be high, that's not a scientific... it'll give you an indication that maybe something's going on, but it doesn't really say much.
But like Martine came from
Martine being
Rushford.
your daughter.
Martine's my daughter. She came from Rushford from being in detox for 30 days. She went right from there to Spiritual Gardens. So she had been clean for the 30 days when she went in there and started the program.
And motivated to stay clean.
We thought.
At that point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are the backgrounds of the people that you service? I mean,
Well, a lot of them come right from a rehab. So we have relationships with rehabs all over the country. And if someone has completed a 28-day or a 6-week rehab, but they're not quite ready to go home, go back to the old neighborhood or their hometown, then they might come to us.
But when you say background too, this epidemic does not discriminate. This includes everybody of every race, everybody of every age.
Every economic status.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't make a difference if you were brought up in private schools and the best of everything or struggling for everything you got. It touches everybody. I found that out with talk after Martine passed away. I thought I was all alone in this fight for her life. And the day she passed away, people came out of the woodwork to tell me their son, their husband, their brothers.
People in the
are
immediate family.
all, no, of strangers came out because they, they were alone also, and they wanted to talk to somebody that struggled with this. And I really thought that there wasn't this epidemic. I really thought that there was a handful of them, but.
Why do you think somebody gets to that stage? What are the steps along the way for someone to get to heroin? I mean, to me, heroin's a scary, scary thing.
Well,
you hear about people dying on bad drugs, and
it's cheap.
I mean, why would you get to? What happens prior to that? What leads up to that?
Well, very often it starts with painkillers. Oxycontin, other opiate painkillers. They're prescribed for a back injury or some kind of pain. And a certain personality, an addictive personality, will get addicted to the pain medication.
Like immediately, some people.
Immediately, so that they, with an addict, it's always more. An addict will always want more. When the prescription
More what?
More
high.
More high, more drugs, whatever it is. When the prescription
So the fact that
runs
it's
out,
a scary experience leading up to it, it is scary. I mean, I think when you hear, when you listen to the media and what's happening, I guess New London County has a lot of that going on. Bad drugs on the street and people dying from it. When you know that, the want to be higher overcomes the fear.
an addict doesn't
use?
have any choice. An addict needs to get high. And sometimes it doesn't make sense. Sometimes you know that there are bad drugs out there, but an addict, that's why an addict is an addict. They lose the choice whether to use or not. I also want to mention that as far as the painkillers go, very often a prescription will run out and they'll start buying pills on the street. They're readily available. And I don't mean the street corner. They're available everywhere. But they're very...
You don't have to go to New Haven to get these drugs. It's right here in Guilford.
Your neighbor, for example. In the high schools, there are drug pushers in every high school. So you start complaining about the price of the pills. They might be $80 a pill. That's a lot. So the person selling you the pills will say, why don't you use heroin instead? The high will cost you 25% of the cost of the pills. Why don't you try it? And so the progression from pills to heroin is very common, very common. Much more than when I was a kid, they used to say marijuana was a gateway drug to heroin.
Is it?
I would say that painkillers are much more gateway drugs to heroin than marijuana. That's a fact. It is a fact.
But is marijuana a gateway to pills?
I don't think so.
What do you think?
I don't know. I go back and forth on that.
What was your daughter's experience? Do you know?
She did start with marijuana, and then I don't know. She went away to college, and when she came back, we had to take her back because she, out in California, became a full-blown addict. She kept it a secret. I don't know a whole lot. She kept it. She was very private. She was very ashamed of it. When she did come back, she got herself in a methadone program that I didn't even know she was on. I didn't even know she was struggling with it. She went and got help and tried to do it without telling me.
And the methadone program was to counteract what?
They
what was
put
she
her on
that?
At that point, it was the oxys. It was, and I got very angry about that she didn't come to me because in my belief, and I don't know if I'm right, but I believe it's much easier to get off oxys than it is to get off methadone or heroin.
Heroin.
You know?
I would think it would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So, now, do you think your daughter's experience? I just, in my mind, and I know so little about this, that it just seems to me that anybody that's on pills or heroin or anything in between, at some point in their life, was also smoking pot.
yeah, I don't
But
think
you
that's
don't see
true
that
anymore.
as a
There's an
stepping stone.
epidemic of people my age that start becoming addicts because they get hooked on, they get some kind of pain, the doctor prescribes these opiates, and they're addicted.
Well, I'm sure that that's one example of how
there's a
somebody
lot of
moves
people
on.
of
But
that.
there's people that go on pills for other reasons. It's a party drug, isn't it? Isn't it something that the peer group is involved in? Isn't it something that is a social environment that somebody wants to participate in?
Well, the people that we're talking about are not social. It's like an alcoholic is not a social drinker. The addict is a different personality.
The alcoholic, but he might start out in a social environment and then become an alcoholic.
Yes, it could be. All right, so all of this is not a science. And I want to back up a minute and say that I don't have any training in addiction counseling. I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist. Everything I know is from my own experience. So my opinions come from my own experience. I believe that addiction is it's a genetic condition. I believe that this runs in families, not all the time, but very often.
Some people can drink and not get drunk,
Exactly.
and others become alcoholics.
That's exactly right. And I think alcoholism is a disease, and it's a genetic disease, and it's recognized by the American Medical Association as a disease. It qualifies for insurance payments. One of the things that
I was going to get into that. We're going to get into funding now.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't want to. I think that it's very important to make the point that this is not a moral issue. That addiction is a disease. Alcoholism, drug addiction, it's a disease. There's been a tremendous stigma against drug addicts over the years. Drug addicts are bad, they're weak, they're degenerates, they're criminals.
And that's why people don't reach out,
And
because there's such shame on it that you don't tell people, you hide it, you try your best to get the help you need, but that's why we're speaking out. That's why we're here to promote this epidemic, because addiction is killing our children.
Well, this is a good opportunity for you to raise awareness and maybe create some level of tolerance out there. You know,
Absolutely.
That's really what you hopefully at the end of the day that comes out of a program like this or other programs that are taking place where people are educated and they begin to understand and they have a personal experience, which makes it really brings the whole issue home.
Yeah. Well, I'm from Guilford. People think it doesn't happen here in Guilford, and my daughter
But it happened.
grew up her whole life in Guilford. It's not like we moved here 10 years ago.
Yeah.
30 years we lived here, and
What do you think? Do you think this? You implied at least that some of this became more of an issue for her when she went away to school in California. Do you think any of that existed when she was in Guilford?
yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about her peer group. Did you know her friends who she was hanging out with?
I knew all her friends, and
Any other issues with the friends that you know of?
Well, she got caught smoking marijuana in high school, and immediately she didn't do any sleepovers for the rest of her years in high school, and she was home every night. She was captain of the hockey team. She was an athlete. She was a great athlete. She was very kind and very outgoing, and she had no fear. Sometimes I think that was part of it. She didn't have a fear of trying new things. So much when she got off the methadone, she was finally free again for a while. She didn't face her. She went to Rwanda and volunteered there for 3 months all by herself.
I read that in her obituary.
She had no fears.
What was the group, the association that she went with? Do you know?
Global Volunteers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Herb, you've got a house. obviously a very large house.
It's a big house, 15
First of all, how
rooms.
did you get approval from the city of New Haven to do what you're doing in that location? Because that in itself is a zoning issue that you may have had neighbors that were not necessarily in favor of what you were doing.
Well, we did. We had a lot of support from the city of New Haven. They understand, sure, they understand the problem. They understand the need for recovery programs, and they were very supportive.
What about the neighborhood?
The neighborhood, they were resistant at first. They called a meeting, they met with the mayor, and the mayor calmed them down.
This is DeStefano at that time.
That's right.
Yeah.
He just said, just wait, you might be surprised. And over time, we've become good neighbors. We are good neighbors. The neighbors like us. And many of our neighbors, of course, like everyone else, have relatives who have been affected by the heroin epidemic. So that there's a lot more sympathy now for what we do. I'm in touch with the building department. They're the ones that field the complaints. And they are surprised that there have been no complaints from the neighbors since we moved in.
Good for you. Because if there were, I'm sure you would have other issues to deal with.
We are good neighbors.
Yeah. Now, how many women do you have currently?
We have 10.
10.
We have 10.
And
yeah.
how are you supporting the program? I mean, you have to room and board and all of that?
Sure. Well,
Now, you're a nonprofit. Are you paying taxes on the property?
No.
You're not.
No,
You're
we
exempt.
don't. We are
Okay.
tax
That saves
exempt.
you a big,
Yes,
big bundle
it does.
right there.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. But you still have to support 10 women.
Yes, it is. We have, there are fees. If you can afford to pay the fees, then you do. And we have donations. We have supporters who are supporting us.
Who would a supporter be? Give me an example. Who would want to support your organization? Who's watching right now that would want to that can connect to what we're talking about?
Well, the people that make donations very often are people who have friends, neighbors, relatives who have been affected by addiction. And as we've been saying, today almost everyone has been affected by addiction. In 2012, there were 400 deaths from overdose in Connecticut.
Just in Connecticut?
Yes. Last year, there were 900.
Oh, my God.
More than double. So there was a time when the inner cities saw...
And when you were growing up, and I was growing up in the same 60s, we
Yeah.
talked about this, there probably were very, very few.
Very few.
Back then it was more, I don't know what the drugs were. I mean, obviously marijuana, but then there was also speed,
Yeah.
LSD, things that don't necessarily kill you.
No, it's much different now. And of course, it's a business, so that the drug sellers, they want to increase their profits, so that they add to the heroin fentanyl. Now, fentanyl, in different degrees, different amounts, fentanyl is a whole different drug, and it's deadly. It's really the heroin that's laced with fentanyl that is killing these kids. But to back up another minute, in 2012, probably most of the overdoses were in the inner cities. The increase since then has been into the suburbs, so that where we've more than doubled the number of deaths, that increase is really in the suburbs. This is horrifying. Now there are the state of Connecticut.
So who would want to? I mean, if somebody's watching right now and they want to send you money.
All right, if they log on to our website,
Yeah.
Which is, again, www.themansion.life, on that page there is a PayPal button. They can click on the button, they can make a contribution today. And we can certainly use the money. There are lots of women whose resources have been exhausted because they've been to rehabs. I talked to a gentleman.
Now, you mentioned insurance comes into play here.
It does when they're going to rehabs, but we
Not for
don't.
the
We don't
social-
take insurance.
sober house.
Not for a sober house.
Once they go in there,
You don't remember. You don't take insurance because you're not qualified to get insurance, or that's a decision you made. You don't want insurance.
No. It's not that we're not qualified. It's just the insurance companies do not fund sober.
So it's not a
sober
health
houses.
care issue. Someone who's an
No.
addict in your program is not a beneficiary of Obamacare or whatever else.
No,
is out
they're
there.
not. No. We provide therapy on 100% of the
yeah.
women have a therapist, and the therapist works individually, and that therapist is paid by the client's insurance.
Okay. All right.
But once they
if
go-
you're just, I just want to tell our folks at home, if you're just tuning in, we're talking with Herb Schwartz and with Betsy Gehan about a program for women who are addicted and are living in this residential program called The Mansion. And we've got a lot of details on that. We're going to get back and talk about more. But now we're talking about, you have a huge mountain to climb just to meet your monthly obligations to try to.
Yes, we do.
So you also have fundraisers,
We do.
and you have a fundraiser coming up. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
yeah, I started this fundraiser 3 years ago. It's called Martine's Wakeup because everybody came out for Martine's Wake. And now I think we have to wake up, come back out, and let's make a difference. Let's change
Okay,
this.
what is the event that you're running? When is it, first of all?
It's held June 23rd at the Fireman's Field, Martin Bishop Fireman Field in Guilford. It's the third year we've done it. And all the money raised goes to sober housing for
Okay.
women coming out of rehab.
Goes to this program.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And the reason that you have this this event and the proceeds going to this program is because Martine was involved with the program?
She was in the program for a while. And also,
What happened there?
like you said, they test you. And there was another girl there that they got some pills and they used it, and she was asked to leave. So from there, she left.
You were aware of that? You knew what was
yeah.
going on at the time? Yeah. You knew Martine?
No, I did not. No. I am, this is a women's program, and we set it up to be women helping women.
Okay.
So that I'm a back office administrator, so that I do the accounting, the marketing, and whatnot. But I don't spend a lot of time at the house, and. The reason is some of the women have issues.
But you're aware
with
of what
men.
goes on there in the event that there is an issue like has just been described?
Absolutely.
Okay. And you have to have a black and white issue here. I mean, you're doing something wrong, you have to leave.
Absolutely.
That's how it is. You're putting an addict on the street.
No,
Back
we're
on the
not.
street.
No, we don't.
I don't want to make you feel badly, but in effect, that's what's happening, isn't
Well,
it?
no. We bring them. We bring them to housing of some sort.
You do.
Either we drive them home, we bring them to a hotel. We will pay the first night's hotel rent, but no, we don't just push them out the door. This is the women that come to the house have. We consider them our lifelong responsibility. We're in touch with the women that have left the house. We know how they're doing. Some women leave our house after using, go back into rehab, and then after rehab they come back to our house. Our house is based on love, and we love these women. This is one of the remedies for addiction. Now, the state of Connecticut has many clinics that use methadone, Suboxone, Vivitrol. It's medically treated, medically assisted treatment.
And you don't.
Well, we don't disapprove of it, but we believe that, and we don't criticize anyone that is on methadone. We think, see, addiction, it's a very personal thing. We all know about cancer, how there are many different kinds of cancer, and many
If
different.
you've seen one addict, you've seen one addict.
That isn't true. There are many different kinds of addiction. There are as many different kinds of addiction as there are addicts. We are all individuals, and we all recover at different rates and in different ways. Some people do well on the methadone, and some people don't. We use the AA method of recovery, and that's worked well for us. And that centers around love and fellowship, so that if we give an addict or an alcoholic love, they become addicted to the love. And that's a very powerful addiction. It gets to the point where they don't want to live without it, so that it's an incentive to stay where they are and to stay sober.
How long do you allow them to stay? Is there a term?
Well, no, there isn't. They could
when
stay.
they first go in there, when they first start in there and they start feeling better, then they are expected to go out and get a job and contribute, and then they pay for it. You help them do that.
Yes, we
You help
do.
them get them to the meetings. So then they have an income coming in to support themselves also, to be able to go out into the real world.
Okay, now at what point do you think the program is a success where someone could leave the program on their own?
Well,
How do you know?
They know.
It's hard to tell,
Yeah.
but Betsy's right. I'd like to think that they know sometimes they leave too soon. We recommend a year. The women that have stayed with us a year or more are still doing very well.
You follow up on them?
Well, we
after
do.
they've
We
gone-
stay in
yeah.
touch with them indefinitely. You
Do
know,
some of them become role models for the current residents?
well, yes.
Have you used that as part of your program?
It is. It is. The women that have been there a while are required to be the big sister of a newcomer coming in, so that there's a lot of mentoring that goes on. There's a rehab in New Haven, and 5 of the women that have been at our house now are working at that rehab as caseworkers.
What's the name of that rehab?
Turnbridge.
Okay. Let's get back to the fundraiser. June 23rd at Martin Bishop's Field on Long Hill Road in Guilford. What's the time?
It's 6 to 9 o'clock. It's a sober evening with live music and raffles to raise money. And it's to come out and, you know, the addicts are always the outsider now when they go to weddings and when they go to parties. Everybody's still drinking. And this is for them to be the...
So no alcohol
and
is
there,
allowed?
no alcohol, nothing is allowed.
Whether you're an addict or not, there's no
Yeah,
alcohol?
no,
Okay.
no. Everybody comes and we all
And there's
stay
music
sober.
and just a good time?
Yeah,
You're having a party?
yes.
Okay,
A sober
and
party, a sober event.
What does it
raise
cost for someone to attend?
$10.
Okay, and what's your goal? What do you want to raise?
Oh, I would like to raise.
Millions, I know.
Yeah. Maybe we would be happy if we could raise.
This is the 3rd year you're doing it?
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe, $10,000 I would like to get this year.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, Betsy puts together a great show. She and the committee are wonderful, and they've been working on this since January. So it's more than just a $10 admissions. They run a raffle, for example, and our community has been wonderful. Many of the merchants have donated prizes to the raffle, so that I want to say there are 30 prizes.
Yeah, at least 30.
They're about-
Maybe 40 to 50, and then there's a couple silent auctions that
Yeah.
are little bigger items.
Guilford has been so supportive
Yes.
of this. We live in a wonderful town.
Yeah, I walk down the street
Phenomenal.
in the town of Guilford, and I tell them what, and they made it
Yeah.
easy for me to start this because they
Have
come
you
out.
been to the Guilford Rotary Club with this story?
No.
No.
Do you service, well, you're a 501c3, that's a good thing. Do you service people that may or may not live in town of Guilford?
Absolutely.
All right,
we
so-
have people coming from all over the country.
Yeah, so you got to come as a speaker to one of our Rotary meetings
I'd
and
love
talk
to.
about the program. And you might be surprised that the club, in fact, we support so many, a wide range
Sure.
of things, then that might be a source of some support
Sure.
for you as well.
I'd love to.
And you've been to a Rotary meetings, I think,
Yes,
for
I
other
have.
groups, right?
Yeah, for other groups.
Yeah,
That's true.
I recognize you. Yeah. I'm the guy that sits in the back.
Yeah. Sure.
Well, you know, I give you a lot of credit for what you're doing because, as you've mentioned, if you look at the numbers and how things have exponentially exploding,
Yeah.
I mean, you know, 400, 900, what's it going to be next year and 5 years from now? I mean, you got a
know
lot of
what?
issues here.
People talk about this all the time because of the drug overdoses, not just here, but all over the country. It is a crisis. The war on drugs has been effective in some ways, but not in this epidemic. And the truth is, no one knows what to do. There is no clear-cut, absolute cure for heroin addiction. There just isn't. What we try to do is we try.
Are you ever not addicted? If you're a heroin
Personally,
addict today, is there ever a day when you're not an addict?
I think it's always like an alcoholic.
alcoholic is always an alcoholic.
I think you are. Yes,
You're
I think
sober,
you're always
but you're still an addict.
And you've indicated that there's a genetic possibility here, so that the genetics don't change.
Right.
They are what they are 5 years from now.
So what we try to do is we try to make a difference in our own backyard. That's our intention. We're not going to change the world. No one has figured out how to do that. But we believe that we have a good, solid program. The women that go through our program, not all of them, but most of them.
What's your track record?
Well,
7 years now. You've had a lot of people come and
yes,
go.
I have. I would say 50% are still clean. All right, so 50% might not seem like a good track record, but in the addiction field, 50% is excellent.
And where are the other 50%?
Well,
know?
some of them have come back and they're living with us now. Some of them are back in rehab. Some of them are dead. This is a deadly disease.
Is there any age limit for who qualifies to be a resident?
No, absolutely not.
So this could be a young person?
Most of our residents are probably the average age is 30.
You have to be like over 18 though to go there, don't you? You couldn't be a teenager.
No, you could be a teenager.
You've had teenagers?
We have.
You have?
Yes, we have.
And I would think that once someone gets to the point where they qualify to be a resident in your program or beneficiary of the program, that they've already burned all their bridges at home. They have...
Well, you try the hard love tactic. You know, not that Martine ever burned her bridges because we were always behind her, you know, and trying to. But there were rules. We couldn't accept her back in. If, you know, you try everything. You get very desperate, and you try to set the rules that you got to get yourself together. You're not welcome here. You know, I would meet her out. I would take her, you know, food and everything else.
I hear these stories of people where they're stealing.
Yep.
At home.
She stole from us.
You know, once that's
Yep.
gone, then they look for other places to go. But they start there because it's readily available. And I got to think at some point there becomes an impasse between the home and the attic.
Yeah.
No matter how much you love your child.
Well, we found out she had stolen. We said, you know, you have to go to rehab. You can't live here. And I said to her, you go to rehab or we have you arrested. And I don't know that we could have had her arrested. And she said, no, I'll go to rehab. And she went that day. And, you know, we didn't know it was so hard. You don't know where to take them, what to do. And we just dropped her off at Rushford. And we said, my husband said, you know, I don't care if there's a bed or not. You wait. And that's what she did. She had to wait. There wasn't a bed. It's a problem getting kids into rehab, into places.
When she left the program, she was in, then she left. That
No,
had to be a scary moment for you.
When she left there, she always had her plan. She knew what she wanted to do. When she told me she got kicked out of there, she already had her friend Molly Ashcroft, who was in recovery, had been running a sober house, came down and got her and took her to her sober house in Massachusetts. And she did really well there for a while. She did really well for 7 months up there and was happy. And I'd never seen her look so good. I mean, she always looked good, I think, but she was really proud of herself. But she, again, went to a concert.
But as her mother, this has got to be an unbelievable period of time.
I finally had a sense of peace. I thought she was doing really well. And she was. But she went to a concert and drank. And then they said, you can't drink in this program. And she had to leave. And she left. And I didn't know. I thought she was still up there. Somebody picked her up and brought her down to New Haven, to Brantford. And she used, and because she had been clean for so long, she'd use the same amount and overdose.
You've heard this story many times.
Yes, I have.
Not this story, but a story like this one.
It's unfortunate. It's typical for someone getting out of rehab, using again, and overdosing because they used the same amount that they did when they had been building their resistance up over years. Then if you're clean for 7 months, then your resistance goes down again. But if you use the same amount, your body can't take it. And
I guess there's always that thought, I can do a little bit, it won't hurt me. An ex-smoker, 5 years or 2 years or a year down the line could pick up a cigarette and say, if I could smoke this cigarette, it's not true.
No, it isn't. Addiction is so powerful. It's something that the non-addict, we just can't understand. But at one point, the craving gets so strong that you make the choice even though you know it's the wrong choice. And I've heard people say this over and over again. I was 100% sure that this was the wrong thing to do, but I didn't have the choice. It gets to the point where they have to do it. This is why my heart goes out to addicts. It's not as if they make a choice to do something wrong. It is just a very powerful disease. Now we see a remedy in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. It's a one-day-at-a-time program. The women that come into our house, they're required to go to a meeting, at least one meeting every day. We have AA meetings in the house. We drive them to meetings around the community in New Haven, Brantford, Guilford, and we introduce them to people in the AA community so that when they finally leave, they know people. Everyone is required to have a sponsor. An AA sponsors, it's like a mentor. It's something you can call day or night when you're not feeling good,
Whenever
if you feel like using, and they are there for you. When you leave our house, you're advised to go to a meeting every day. And the people that do that are the people that survive because that program works. Unfortunately, we all get busy. Things get in the way of the meeting schedule, and we become complacent. That means things are going so good, I don't have to do all of this anymore.
Sure.
It's like the person
Human nature.
It's like the person taking antidepressants. They say, wow, I'm feeling so good, I don't have to take these anymore. Well, I think it's the same idea in the AA program. I'm really doing great. I feel great. I don't feel like using at all. I don't really need to go to these meetings anymore. When you stop going to the meetings, you lose the fellowship. And
the support system.
The support system in the rooms of AA and NA, I don't want to forget them, Narcotics Anonymous. There are people, they are all alcoholics and addicts. They all have that one thing in common so that they understand what you're going through. And that level of support is enough to keep many people. I know people that have been clean for 30, 35 years, and they are still going to meetings every day. And this is the basis of our training at the mansion. Now we have a parents support group led by a social worker at the mansion, meets once a week on Saturdays. And these are the parents of addicts, and they have their own community. They need their own support. And that's been very helpful to them. And when they are healthy and feeling good, then they're different with their children, and it trickles down so that the whole family benefits.
Herb, what what you're doing is awesome. I mean, and never ending, and it's huge. It's huge. What motivated you to want to even get involved? What was that in your mind at the very beginning of this? I mean,
there's a lot of alcoholism and addiction in my family. Two of my brothers were drug addicts, and they both died from their addictions
as a result of
direct result of their drug use.
When you read that there's pending legislation now in the state of Connecticut and other states to legalize the use of marijuana, what's your thought?
I go back and forth.
You take
I'm
a
not
position
really
on that?
sure. I don't know. I don't.
To me, I'm aggravated by that.
I
To
think
me,
it might
seems,
be
why,
better
Why would you
controlled.
make things?
I think it might be better controlled. I think it might be better monitored of who gets it, just like alcohol.
Not if you're 16 and in high school.
Yeah.
You're still going to get drugs where you got drugs. You're not going to get it at a pharmacy, or a licensed marijuana dealer.
Like if you're going to buy marijuana from going to a liquor store, you have to show your ID. You have to do this to be.
I was kind of amazed. I'm
not so sure. I agree with myself. I go back and
Yeah.
forth on that. I don't know.
Well, I just don't think it's necessary. Let's put it that way.
Legalizing marijuana?
Yeah, it's just another thing. It's not necessary.
Well, no. And I don't know very much about that, but I do know that the illegal drugs that are being used today are deadly and not good. So that we focus on that.
I think marijuana, though, the street drugs of marijuana are laced with drugs. That's with other things that are in it. And that's why I think if they make it legal, maybe it won't have that other stuff. I don't know.
It would be more controlled.
Yeah,
Well, that's a whole other issue. We don't get into the politics of that, but
Yeah.
my own personal opinion is I say I just don't know why we're doing this.
I don't know.
But beyond that, I was thinking during the recent election that we came through this past fall, there was very little discussion about the drug epidemic, and there was very little put out there by candidates as to what they would do. There was very little discussion. I mean, there was discussion on so many economic issues and so many issues on other levels, but almost nothing from the candidates.
But there was a lot since our new president has taken effect of what's the health care plan is going to affect the mental illness and addiction and a lot of other things. So there's a lot of talk about it now.
Yeah.
What are they going to do?
I don't know.
What are they going to promise? We've had this war on drugs for 25 years, and it's been the war against the cartels, and I'm not saying that that's bad, the drug importers and whatnot, but
well, it's a supply and demand business, right?
I think we have to say that there are more drugs on the street now than there were 25 years ago.
I would say.
So that I don't think, I did not hear anyone with a solution to what we're up against now. And I certainly don't have one.
I think that one of the things that we've changed.
Are we coming up to an hour? Are we getting close to an hour now? I think we are.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right, one more time, because the fundraiser that's going to happen in Guilford, in the town of Guilford, is something that is important to you.
Everybody's
obviously
welcome.
Very, very important to you.
You don't have to know us to come down and support us. We're going to provide information. There'll be tables with people that need help or different opportunities in different places to go to, support groups. We'll have speakers. Sean Scanlon's going to be there speaking about the epidemic and the laws that we are changing. And most of all, it's a fun, sober evening.
And it's June 23rd.
June 23rd.
6 to 9?
6 to 9.
Okay.
Fireman's Field.
And it's $10.
$10 to get in,
And
you
if
can
I'm
bring
there, there's an auction, silent auction, live
There's
auction?
a raffle tickets, and then there's some silent auction, and there's a pizza truck where you can bring your own picnic too to come if you want, or you can buy pizza from Naples Pizza Truck, and
That's a good thing.
yeah, it's a very grassroots thing, but it's to try to make a difference.
And Herb mentioned you have a committee?
Yes,
Yeah, so I know somebody else is here today that's part of your committee. Who is that?
that's Carolyn Schilling.
Okay, and why is she involved?
She's like my right arm, and she just helped me when I decided to do this. She's like, yeah, sure. And she's the quiet force behind me that sort of just keeps giving me the push, and she helps me with every step of the way.
Excellent thing you're doing. Excellent.
Yeah.
Just
Well, I
keep
couldn't
doing
do it without my friends.
Because, whether you raise 1,000 or 10,000 or 1,000,000, what you're doing, I think, is contributing to raising awareness. And I think that's really what's that. If there's going to be a solution, ultimately, I think people have to really understand what you're dealing with on a daily basis.
And you have to talk
Absolutely.
about it. We have to stop this hiding it. We have to talk about it.
So that's a huge benefit that's going to come out of this fundraiser or anything else that you might do in the way of publicity for your organization, for your program. And Martine's Wakeup, fantastic, great name.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks.
great name. Who came up with that?
I did.
Yeah, good one.
Yeah.
All right. What else do you want to add that we have not discussed?
No, I think you've done a great job, Tony. You've covered all of the bases.
Well, I've come from a conservative perspective. Let's put it that way.
Right.
To try to
Right.
bring out the good, the bad, and the ugly, if you will.
Sure.
But hopefully, at the end of the day, it's been more good than anything. All right.
Right.
And
No, you've been great. Thank you very much.
well, thank you for being here. And show up. I'm going to give you a name to contact.
I will.
For Rotary, and you put you
Okay.
on the. I don't know when there's an opening. They're booked out, but at some point there will be an opening. You come to lunch,
Thanks.
have lunch with us. You bring Betsy with you, and you guys can talk about your program, and you can talk about.
That would
if
be
you
great.
if you do it before June 23rd, you can talk about the event,
Okay.
Great.
All
which
right.
happens to be the day before Lobster Fest.
Oh, good.
So we can have a lot of people are very,
Yes.
very, very busy. But
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
that's our biggest unbelievable. I don't imagine that we still do this, but we do it, and it's unbelievable.
Yes. It's always
And that's a
fun
big
day.
fundraiser.
Yes, it's
for
always
us.
a great
and
day.
Again, that money goes back to
Back
groups
into
like
the
yours.
community. All right.
All
Good.
right.
Good.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
So much.
Thank
Great
you.
to meet you.
Thank you.
And thank you for your story. I hope everything, I hope it was okay the way we discussed it.
Yeah, it was nice.
Thank you, Tony.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. And with that, this is Tony Fapiano. Thank you for watching. There's going to be a website. I think Shannon will probably put some credits up and ways of contacting you.
Sure. Great.
And I think it's important for folks to know, we did discuss it, you are a 501c3, which means that
Any donation is totally tax deductible.
okay, and obviously for a fantastic
What's
cause.
the other site that we have? The martineswakeup.org.
Right. All right. That is a website specifically for Martine's Wake Up. It's www.martineswakeup.org. And it's Martine's without the apostrophe, and it's one word, wake up. Martine's Wake
S.
Up.
Wake up.
S.
Okay.
Yeah, all one word, martineswakeup.org.
Terrific. All right. Again, thanks for everything that you've supplied us with today, and I wish you
Sure.
all the very best. And 7 years, looks like you made it over the hump.
Yes, I'm sure we have.
Right?
Yeah, yes, we
Because
have.
on day one, you said, I don't know if we're going to be here 7 years from now. But you are.
We are.
All right,
Yeah,
good deal.
we're going strong.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you all for watching.